Uncle Stan?
6, 5.
I trust you.
This is one of the best scenes of one of the best episodes of one of the best animated shows of all time. If you were to ask anybody what are their favorite episodes from Gravity Falls, they will probably include this one in their list, and not only that, even the showrunner Alex Hirsch considers this his favorite episode. But why? What makes this episode so special to be considered one of the best even today? And most importantly, what can we learn from this episode to use in our own writing?
Ya llegamos.
Y esto es...
Al Preli. In 2016, Gravity Falls ended its run as one of the most beloved shows of our time. The success it managed to achieve with very few episodes is truly worth admiring, and this is because Gravity Falls always preferred quality over quantity. This mindset would become more evident in the episode Not What He Seems, which debuted 7 years ago.
The episode begins when government agents arrest Stan for owning a machine which could bring the end of the world, as you do. Dipper and Mabel, convinced that their uncle is not a criminal, attempt to prove his innocence, but instead, little by little, they discover all of the secrets Uncle Stan had been carefully keeping from them. Eventually, they find the portal in the basement. They discover this machine could destroy the universe and set out to shut it down.
Meanwhile, Uncle Stan managed to escape from the agents and return to the house, asking the kids not to turn the machine off. Unsure about believing him, they all start to fight about the portal until Mabel decides to trust in his uncle one last time, keeping the machine on. This creates a big flash, and from the portal comes the author of the journals, Stan's twin brother.
Who is that? The author of the journals. My brother.
This episode would become a watershed for the show. From now on, the status quo would change with the addition of this new character. Additionally, this episode's excellent script and technical work was recognized when it got nominated for 2 Annie Awards in 2016, for Best Animated TV Production for Children's Audience and Outstanding Achievement Writing in an Animated TV Production.
The reason this episode is still one of the best is thanks to a combination of well-executed elements. Let's start with the work done before this episode aired. The episode was really hyped up by the fans, who had been waiting for it for a long time. And creating hype is key for success in almost anything.
Gravity Falls achieved this in a very smart way. It's no secret that this show was full of mysteries and cryptograms ready to be decoded by its biggest fans. At the end of each episode, there was a cryptogram warning us that Stan isn't what he seems. In fact, the title of this episode is a direct reference to this, hinting the fans that it was going to be important.
However, these strategies only worked best with the show's biggest fans, leaving casual viewers behind. This second group was actually the majority of Gravity Falls' audience, and because of that, it was also important to create anticipation in them.
In order to accomplish this, the show, since the beginning, had been developing a subplot about the portal at the end of most of its episodes. In fact, Season 1 ends with the activation of the portal, letting us know that it was going to be important in future episodes.
Here we go.
This way, even the most casual viewer will be invested in the main story of Gravity Falls.
And to make matters better, the previous episode, Northwest Mansion Mystery, did a great job creating hype for the next episode, as it ends with a countdown to the end of the world by Bill Cipher. And for the show's biggest fans, the cryptogram at the end of this episode says, "Stan is not what he seems" multiple times. After this, the same countdown appeared on the website The Mystery of Gravity Falls, which coincided with the release of the next episode, increasing the hype even further and letting us know that the next episode will be very special.
The show knows that creating this hype is so important that even the first scene is designed with this purpose, starting with Stan in front of the portal saying it's time, telling you directly that this episode is finally going to deal with whatever the heck is going on with this portal, a mystery that was set up from the very start of the show. However, we see how the portal makes gravity fail, showing us this moment where Dipper and Mabel are floating in their room, intentionally referencing this scene from the opening just so you can say,
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
At this point, and taking into account the hype they had built for years, the viewers' excitement is beyond the roof. because you know this episode won't be like any other.
But none of this would work if the characters weren't properly developed. In most storytelling, the characters are the most important part beyond any mystery or code. Gravity Falls is a story about two siblings. The audience really grows to love a show when it has charismatic and lovable characters. Ultimately, why should we care about the story if its characters don't matter to us?
The show understands this very well, and this is especially noticeable in this episode. Normally, they have 2 or 3 writers per episode, but not what he seems had 6. So basically, the entire writing team worked on this episode.
This episode is about trust and how the protagonists react to the revelation of the portal in the basement of the mystery shack that Stan had been hiding from them this whole time. And so, the best way to begin this episode is showing us the great love Dipper and Mabel hold for their uncle, so we can contrast it with the conflict they'll have later in the episode.
To Grunkle Stan, not just a great uncle.
The greatest uncle!
3 hours later.
Please don't press that shutdown button. You gotta trust me.
And I should trust you why? After you stole radioactive waste? After you lied to us all summer? I don't even know who you are!
I swear this show wants to kill me.
Once we see how Dipper and Mabel feel about their uncle, the episode shifts its perspective to show us that, sooner or later, Stan's secrets will be inevitably exposed, as he only has a few hours before his nephews, and the whole world, find out what he had been planning for decades.
This is shown with a fantastic shot in which we see Stan's reflection on the window, representing the big secret he's been hiding, while also being a clue towards his twin brother.
Up until now, we have been establishing the status of each character relating to this episode. Stan's worries about his secrets, and the love their nephews have for him. But with the arrival of the government agents, the main story events would kick into motion. And so, we move to the second act.
The arrest of Uncle Stan works to show the protagonist that he had been hiding secrets from the whole world, even from them. After being exposed to this for the first time, their natural reaction is denial. To them, it's impossible to imagine Uncle Stan stealing toxic waste to build a machine that could end the world.
Our Grunkle Stan might shoplift the occasional tangerine, but he's not some evil supervillain.
Some of the most important things that a character must have are motivations and objectives. They will have to overcome trials and challenges to get what they want, and conflict is where stories are made. It's important for them to have motivations on various levels. For example, the overall goal of the characters was to discover who was the author of the journals, but characters also need to have motivations in each episode and even in each scene. And so, the reaction the twins have to Stan possibly being a criminal gives them their motivation for this episode: prove Uncle Stan's innocence.
From now on, we see Mabel and Dipper working as a team to get to the mystery shack and watch the security tapes to prove Stan's alibi. But then, we get to this scene.
False names, double lives. One minute they're playing with water balloons, the next they're building doomsday devices. Your uncle scammed the whole world. You gonna let him scam you too?
This is a very important scene, because it will define how differently Dipper and Mabel are going to react to the truth. Mabel takes those words lightly, but to Dipper, they start to plant doubt in him, making him think that maybe everyone else is right and his uncle is not to be trusted.
Dipper is more of an analyst and he needs evidence to change his mind, and Mabel is more emotional and she follows her heart to a fault. This is why every time they discover more evidence about their uncle, Dipper accepts it without questioning, while Mabel stays in denial and gives her uncle the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. So maybe Grunkle Stan stole some toxic waste. That doesn't mean he's leading a nefarious double life.
The story reaches its midpoint when Dipper and Mabel discover irrefutable proof that Uncle Stan isn't just a criminal, but that he may not even be their uncle and instead is somebody impersonating him.
From this moment, Dipper and Mabel's perspective on Uncle Stan changes, and so does their objective. Before, they just wanted to prove his innocence. Now, they just want to know the truth, but each one of them has a different motivation to do so. Dipper wants to know what else he has been hiding from them, while Mabel wants to confirm that this is just a big misunderstanding.
Once in the lab, the twins both see what they wanted to see. Dipper sees a machine that will cause the end of the world. He discovers Stan had the other journals and that he lied about that. He only sees betrayal and trickery. Meanwhile, Mabel sees that he has a picture of them, and that's more than enough proof for her that Stan still loves them.
However, by this point, Dipper trusts more in the author of the journal than his own uncle, as he has helped him escape many problems throughout the show. He trusts what the journal says, and if they say that the portal is going to bring the end of the world, then that's what he thinks is going to happen.
Up until this point, we only have focus on the characters, but something this episode also does very well is dealing with risks. In order for us to worry about the characters accomplishing their goals, we need to have big stakes. And this is the first episode where the characters were risking something very big.
First, we have Stan, who was about to lose all the work he made throughout decades on his portal, first because of the agents, and later because his nephews were going to turn the machine off. His secrets were also about to be revealed to his nephews, and in the worst way possible, since he had planned to tell them the truth first, but he hadn't found the right moment or courage to do so.
Kids, there's something I should tell you. It's, it's complicated. I'm gonna go refresh my soda.
On the other hand, Dipper and Mabel's trust in their uncle is what's at stake for them, and this gets put to the test as the episode progresses, as this could result in an unfixable damage to the family. And lastly, we have the biggest threat on the show so far. A machine with a countdown to the destruction of the universe. This countdown is key for us to feel the urgency that every character is experiencing during the episode.
Another aspect that takes this episode to the next level is the art department. For example, we love the colors on the portal. It was a beautiful, unique, and out-of-this-world way to represent it.
Also, this episode had a lot of scenes with very strong lighting, giving the characters harsh shadows and a dramatic effect, especially near the end, when the portal is the main source of light.
Even better, the use of colors is excellent, since they exaggerate the redness of the sunset to emphasize the threat of the end of the world.
After analyzing the hype, the characters, the risk, and the art, let's take a look at the final scene. And to be honest, this part always makes me cry, even after watching it again for this video.
This last scene is about nothing more than whether everyone should trust Uncle Stan and how their choice could have catastrophic consequences. The main conflict in this scene is between the characters.
This is a strong scene because we're about to discover what's going to happen with the portal. But beyond that, this is an important scene for character development and their relationships. When Mabel's tears start to roll, so do mine.
This is because we are living directly how Stan's lies have hurt Dipper and Mabel, and in that moment, everything points to him being a liar who wants the end of the world. Dipper shows his pain with anger and frustration, but Mabel does it with sadness and disappointment.
This becomes more intense as Mabel gets into the complicated situation of deciding whether to trust his uncle or not, a choice that could end the universe.
Dipper tries to convince her to the only way he knows, with logic, and so he asks her to listen to her head. But Stan ultimately convinces her because he speaks from his heart, telling her that he only cares about his family.
I wanted to say that you're gonna hear some bad things about me, and some of them are true. But trust me, everything I've worked for, everything I care about, it's all for this family!
This culminates just seconds before the portal is activated, and Mabel lets go of the button and says that she trusts in his uncle in the most dramatic and emotive moment of the whole show.
Uncle Stan?
6, 5.
I trust you.
If this scene doesn't make you cry, or at least give you a lump in your throat, then you must be heartless. This is a moving moment because, despite having every reason to believe Stan was evil, Mabel's heart is so big, she decided to give him another chance to trust in him again.
And as if that wasn't enough, after one of the most intense scenes in the entire show, we get the reveal that the author of the journals is Stan's twin brother. And despite being something many fans had already guessed, this moment wasn't boring nor predictable. There are two reasons for this.
The first one is that this episode promised to reveal the mystery of the portal and Uncle Stan's secrets. However, it hadn't promised to reveal the identity of the author, so that was completely unexpected.
And the second reason is that this reveal didn't feel predictable because they only gave us just enough clues for the biggest fans to reach that conclusion, but leaving enough room for uncertainty. Because of this, when everything got revealed, those who already knew he was Stan's twin felt smart about predicting it. They were like,
I am a genius.
And that's why no other revelation has felt as impactful as this one, as mysteries have to be just difficult enough so the audience feels rewarded when everything is revealed. Not so easy that it feels predictable, but not too hard to feel like it came out of nowhere.
Obviously, to create that level of anticipation, risk, and character work is something that can be done on every episode of a show. But Gravity Falls definitely took its chance the best way possible, creating one of the best episodes from an animated show.
And here ends today's video. Tell us in the comments below your opinion and what other epic episode of another series would you like us to do an analysis like the one in this video. On this side we'll leave you a video where we talk about the cheap copy of Gravity Falls, and on this other side 21 animation errors in Gumball. Thank you very much for watching the video until the end, and remember that we love you all. Bye!